My dad forged my name off a property title, so I served him with an NDA. That ended our family. Hi, I'm Sean. I'm in my late 30s, and last Thanksgiving, my parents gave every grandchild dessert and cash except my son. The funny thing is, I almost didn't go. Not because I expected anything to blow up, but because I'd started trusting my gut more in recent years. And my gut had been telling me for a while that every holiday at Valerie and Jack's house came with attacks. Attacks on my patience, my boundaries, and, apparently, this year, my kid. But Tucker wanted to go. He was excited. He'd made that cranberry sauce from scratch like it was a school project. His face when we walked in proud, hopeful it killed me later to remember it. Anyway, fast forward past the dinner, past the replaced cranberry sauce, past the small humiliation stacked like napkins on that table. Let's skip to what happened after I walked out, tore the envelope, and Jack threatened the mortgage. Because that's where this next chapter starts. It had been a quiet few weeks since the beach house sold. Peter was still checking in regularly, mostly to make sure nothing new came crawling out from under the floorboards. Sophie had gone dark. Valerie and Jack had gone quiet. Until Tuesday morning got a letter in the mail. Certified. Not legal, a summons just. Official. It was from the HOA, not mine, theirs. My parents' neighborhood had a homeowners association, and the letter said there was a concern about someone who had appeared volatile and had been seen raising his voice and storming out of a family residence. It didn't name me, but it named the date, Thanksgiving, and it said the concern had been raised by a longtime resident, which, in Valerie speak, means, "We know you were there, and we don't like how you made us feel." It was worded like a warning, not a fine, just enough to be a shot across the bow. I called Peter. "You've gotta be kidding me," he said. "Nope," I said. Same HOA that let Dad build an illegal shed now suddenly cares about emotional turbulence. Peter was quiet for a second. Then he said, "They're testing the line again." I knew what he meant. They couldn't control the house anymore. The beach property was gone. They couldn't freeze my accounts, couldn't yank the mortgage, but they could chip away at my reputation. They could start building a paper trail, not legal, actionable, but annoying, damaging, enough to plant seeds. And they had friends. Valerie had been in that neighborhood for 20 years. HOA board was practically her brunch club. Peter said, "Want me to handle it?" "No," I said. "This one's mine." Because here's the thing. When you start documenting everything, your world changes. You don't just feel paranoid. You get precise. And I was already 10 steps ahead. The HOA letter said I stormed out. What it didn't know, because Valerie forgot, was that I had a home security camera in my car. One of those dash cams that faces both ways. It caught everything. The driveway, the time stamp, me walking Tucker to the car. Calm, silent, no raised voices. Just a quiet exit. So I made a copy. Then I drafted a reply. I kept it polite, tight, respectful. Attached the footage. Attached a transcript. Asked that any future concerns be raised through proper legal channels. Then I mailed it certified. Same way they sent theirs. 2 days later, got a call from Peter. He was laughing. "The HOA president called Dad," he said. "Told him they're not getting involved in family drama." I didn't laugh. I just said, "Good." Because this was the new normal. They could try little fires, but now had water, receipts, and no fear of walking away. But the real twist didn't come until the next week, when I got a text from an unknown number. "Heard you're looking for old title documents. I used to work with your dad. Want to talk?" I didn't answer right away. The number wasn't saved. No name, just those words. "I used to work with your dad. Want to talk?" That's not a message you get out of nowhere unless someone has a reason. I waited a few hours, then replied with, "Who is this?" A minute later, "Name's Ray. We did property stuff together. Thought you should know something about the beach house." That got my attention. Ray turned out to be a retired real estate broker, semi-friend of Jack's from back when he was still playing. Big shot landlord with 3 rental properties and a folder full of aggressive advice about equity, leverage. Jack loved talking about wealth moves. Ray helped him pull a few off. We talked on the phone later that night. Ray's voice was slow, careful, like he was nervous, but wanted it off his chest. He said, "I got wind that your name came off that title." I said, "Yeah." He said, You didn't sign anything, right? Nope. Ray went quiet for a second. Then, your dad called me before that was filed. Asked how hard it'd be to remove a name discreetly. Said the person wouldn't care, just didn't want to bother him. I didn't help him, just told him he'd need a notary in the right form. I let that hang. Then Ray added, but the reason I'm calling is because he used my notary contact. Someone I referred years ago. She just called me, upset. Said she notarized your name on a quitclaim deed, but something felt off. Afterward, she saw a post about your family. Put two and two together. My chest went tight. I asked for her name, and Ray gave it. I wrote it down, thanked him, and hung up. Next morning, called her. Her name was Elena. She remembered the filing, said Jack had called her, claimed you were out of town, and asked her to witness a signature from a pre-signed document. She said she only did it because she trusted the connection. Said it was the first time she'd ever done anything remotely questionable. I feel sick about it, she said. If you need a statement. I told her I did. By the end of the day, I had a signed letter, dated, specific, naming Jack, describing the forged filing. It was more than I expected. I sent it to Peter. He called almost instantly. This is it. This is criminal, I said. I know. Peter said, what do you want to do? I didn't answer right away, because I wasn't sure if I wanted justice or something quieter, something permanent. Peter wanted court. He wanted lawyers, charges, discovery. He was mad now, not protective mad, offended mad. He kept saying, they thought they could do this to you and get away with it. What if it was me? What if it was my kids? I understood. I really did. But I wasn't sure court was the play, not because they didn't deserve it, they did. Jack forged my name. Valerie called child services on her own grandson. Sophie tried to run a financial heist with someone else's asset. If this were a movie, they'd be in handcuffs by now. But this wasn't a movie. This was real life. And real life meant court would take months. It meant dragging Tucker into depositions. It meant letting Valerie weep on a stand about how misunderstood she was. It meant Jack getting to play the martyr. And Sophie, God, Sophie would spin it into some speech about being a single mother and me being heartless. I didn't want a show. I wanted quiet. So I told Peter my plan. I said, we use the statement, but not in court. We send it to them along with an NDA. Peter blinked on the other end of the call. An NDA? I said, yes. A confidentiality agreement. They admit what they did in writing, agree to cease contact with me and Tucker permanently, except that any further attempt at involvement, legal, social, emotional, will trigger legal consequences. They walk away. No birthday checks. No family guilt campaigns. No HOA letters. Done. Peter said, you think they'll sign? I said, they'll sign if they think the alternative is criminal charges. He was quiet. Then he said, okay, let's draft it. By the end of the week, we had a clean package. Not threatening, just factual. Elena's notarized statement. A list of violations. A summary of the forged deed. The option, sign the NDA and walk away, or deal with the fraud complaint and a report to the notary board. Peter emailed it to them directly. No lawyers yet. 3 hours later, Sophie texted me. What are you trying to prove? I didn't respond. A day later, Jack replied. Not to deny it. Not to fight it. Just to ask for one. Edit. That we include a clause allowing them to send Tucker birthday cards. No money. No contact. Just cards. I said no. Peter forwarded that message to Elena. 2 days after that, Jack and Valerie signed. Just like that. Done. The signed documents came back in a manila envelope. No note inside. Just the NDA, witnessed and initialed, with Jack's tight, angry handwriting, and Valerie's shaky cursive beside it. It looked like guilt and pride had wrestled over the pen. Peter scanned it and emailed me a copy. He didn't say much, just, it's over. But that's the thing. It wasn't. Because when you cut people like that out of your life clean, permanent, absolute, they don't leave quietly. They just change tactics. It started small. A cousin posted a vague Facebook status about how sad it is when kids are weaponized. Got a dozen likes. Some prayer hand emojis. Valerie didn't comment, but Sophie did. Just one word, exactly. Then came the photos. Old ones. Valerie, or maybe Sophie dug up an album and posted a carousel. Throwback to family Thanksgiving. Grateful for these memories. There were maybe 10 pictures. The table, the food, the grandkids, everyone smiling. Everyone except Tucker because he wasn't in a single one. I didn't comment, didn't message, didn't share, but I saw it. And I saved it. Then came the real attempt, the school. One afternoon, I got a call from the front desk. The voice was confused. Said a woman named Valerie had stopped by with a small gift for Tucker. Said she claimed to be his grandmother and wanted to drop off a birthday package. The school didn't accept it. Policy. They just wanted to let me know. I asked if she left anything. She tried, the voice said. But when we told her it had to be logged, she took it back. I thanked them and hung up. Then I sent one message to the shared lawyer Peter had recommended months ago. Just a copy of the NDA and a line that read, "They approached the school. Do your thing." That night, Valerie got served. Not a big legal brawl, just enforcement. A formal notice of breach. A reminder that her signature meant something now. That boundaries came with teeth. Peter called me the next day. She cried, he said. Told the lawyer she didn't think it counted if it was just a school visit. I didn't laugh. I didn't get angry either. I just said, then she shouldn't have signed. Because that was the difference now. Before, they could guilt and bend and twist. Now they had limits. Enforced ones. And the second they felt those limits, they panicked. After the school incident, the silence finally turned real. Not strategic, real. Valerie stopped posting. Sophie went dark. Jack didn't send any messages, didn't call Peter, didn't try back channels through old family friends. It was like the power had drained out of them. Tucker didn't even know about the visit to the school. I didn't tell him. He didn't need to carry that. He was doing better, sleeping deeper, talking more, asking fewer questions that started with, why didn't they? He still had his moments, though. One night, during a science project, he asked if we could use pictures from past Thanksgivings. I paused. He caught it right away. He said, "We don't have those anymore, do we?" I told him, "We've got better ones now. Just us." He nodded. Didn't ask again. The weeks passed quiet. I mean really quiet. Like someone had turned the static off. Peter and I talked more. Not just about the mess, about normal stuff. Work, his kids, Tucker's obsession with space documentaries. We started seeing each other more. Not out of damage control. Out of habit. Trust. Then one night, Peter called out of the blue. He said, "You sitting down?" I said, "What happened now?" He said, "Nothing bad. Just weird." Sophie messaged me. I felt that old tension kick in behind my ribs. What did she say? She asked if I knew whether you'd ever consider unfreezing things. I blinked. Unfreezing what? Peter hesitated. The family. I laughed. Couldn't help it. But it wasn't a happy laugh. Just one of those "are we really doing this?" sounds that lives somewhere between exhaustion and disbelief. Peter said, "I think she's circling. Not asking for money yet. Just testing the temperature." I said, "She still thinks she's the victim?" Peter said, "She said Valerie's not doing well. Health stuff. Stress." Said Jack's withdrawn. Said the house is too quiet. I didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then, "She wants me to feel guilty?" I don't think she knows what she wants. She's flailing. I said, "Well, she better keep flailing from a distance." Peter paused. "I told her not to contact you." Good. I also told her, Peter added, "that there's no unfreezing something that's been buried." That landed harder than I expected. Because he was right. It wasn't just broken, it had been sealed over. They didn't get to decide when the thaw started. That power was gone. We hung up. I looked over at Tucker, passed out on the couch, blanket half off. A cartoon paused on screen. I thought about how close I'd come to normalizing all of it for him. The erased cranberry sauce. The empty envelope. The call to child services. I thought about how, if I hadn't walked out when I did, that would have just been his life. Never again. A month after Sophie's message to Peter, a package showed up on my doorstep. No return label. No handwriting. Just a plain box with the shipping label printed from some generic online service. It wasn't Tucker's birthday. No holiday. No reason. I opened it cautiously. Inside, a photo album. One of the old ones from my parents' house, thick leatherette cover, cracked spine. The kind Valerie used to call her memory books. I stared at it for a long time, then I opened it. First few pages were older photos, me and Peter as kids. Beach trips, birthdays, blurry school events. Valerie's meticulous captions in blue pen. Each photo mounted with those old triangular corner tabs. I turned the pages slowly, then I hit a divider, one of those plastic sleeves she sometimes used to separate chapters. After that, pictures of Sophie's kids. Dozens of them, all recent. Then stuck right in the middle of those pages, a photo of Tucker from 2 years ago. Not a professional shot, just a candid him on the porch at the beach house, holding a seashell like it was made of gold. He looked happy, small, younger. I hadn't seen that photo in years. Taped next to it, a torn piece of notebook paper. Valerie's handwriting again. He deserves to know where he came from. That's all it said. And no apology, no explanation, just that. I closed the book. Tucker wasn't home yet. Peter had picked him up for a movie with his cousins, so I had time to sit with it. It wasn't a peace offering, it was a message. He deserves to know where he came from was Valerie code for, we're still his family whether you like it or not. It was soft pressure wrapped in nostalgia. I boxed it back up. Didn't throw it away, didn't burn it, just sealed it, labeled it, and moved it to the garage with the rest of the archive junk I keep around for no reason other than someday. But that night, I made a decision. I went into my closet, opened the small fireproof safe, and pulled out Tucker's trust paperwork. I sat down at the kitchen table and wrote a letter. Not to him for now, but to him later, when he's old enough. It explained everything. Not in detail, just enough so he'd know the shape of it. That there were people who were supposed to love him unconditionally and chose control instead. That none of it was his fault. That I didn't keep him away from his grandparents to punish them. I did it to protect him. I folded the letter, put it in the folder with the trust papers, and sealed it back in the safe. Because someday, he'll ask, and when he does, he won't get Valerie's version, he'll get mine. Spring turned into summer without a word from any of them. Peter kept his distance from Valerie and Jack, but he stayed close to me and Tucker. Sunday breakfasts became a habit. Just bacon, eggs, and silence. That didn't need to be filled. Tucker started teaching Peter's youngest how to build things in Minecraft. That kind of peace, the real kind, creeps in quietly. You don't notice it until someone tries to knock on the door again. And someone did. It was late July when Tucker came back from the mailbox holding a letter. No envelope, just folded paper, hand-delivered. My stomach sank. He hadn't opened it yet. He handed it to me like it was a permission slip. From who? I asked, already knowing. He shrugged. Just sitting there on top. I waited until he was in the other room before I unfolded it. It was Sophie, written in blue ink, rushed handwriting, 2 pages. No salutation, just straight into it. She said she was sorry not for what she did, but for how it all went down. She said she was in a bad place, that our parents had pushed her to find a solution, and that she never meant for things to get so complicated. Then she pivoted. She said her kids missed Tucker. She said they asked about him all the time, which I seriously doubted. She said maybe it was time we started repairing things, just for the cousins. That part got to me. Not because it was convincing, because it was calculated. Sophie had stopped pretending this was about family. Now, it was about access again. Different angle, same motive. And Tucker? He didn't ask what was in the letter, didn't follow me around waiting for news. He just kept playing, talking to himself while building a Lego spaceship. I stared at the letter. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I wrote back. Not to Sophie, to her kids. I wrote one short letter, no drama, no details. Just a simple message explaining that Tucker wasn't ready to reconnect right now, but that it wasn't about them. That he remembered them. That he wished them well. I didn't sign my full name. Just Tucker's dad. I didn't send it through Sophie. I mailed it to Peter, and he passed it along. Quietly. Sophie didn't respond. Didn't try again. Maybe she finally got it. Maybe she realized that every door she used to walk through was closed. Not locked in anger, just sealed by consequence. And here's the strange part. That night, when I was tucking Tucker into bed, he said something out of nowhere. Dad? Yeah? Do you think we'll ever have to go back there? I didn't ask what he meant. I knew. I said, no, bud. We don't have to go back anywhere we don't want to. He nodded. Then he turned over and went to sleep. Late summer slid into fall without so much as a knock, a call, or a whisper. No more letters. No more school drop-ins. No sudden messages disguised as concern. It was like the volume on our lives had finally been turned down to the right level, and we could breathe. One afternoon in early October, I picked Tucker up from school. He was unusually quiet on the ride home. I asked if anything happened. He said, "No, just thinking." "About what?" I asked. He stared out the window for a second, then said, "If they ever say sorry, would you believe them?" It hit harder than I expected. Not because I hadn't thought about it, but because he had. I told him the truth. Maybe, but saying sorry and being sorry aren't always the same thing. He nodded like he understood, but also like he wished the answer had been easier. Cleaner, more movie ending. We pulled into the driveway. I parked. Neither of us moved. Then Tucker asked, "Do I have to forgive them?" I said, "No, buddy. Forgiveness isn't a rule. It's a choice. And it's yours." He looked relieved, like I'd lifted something off his back that had been quietly sitting there since last Thanksgiving. Later that night, after he went to bed, I opened the safe again, looked at the trust paperwork, the letter I wrote him. I added one thing to the end, dated it, and closed the folder. You don't owe anyone forgiveness. Not for peace. Not for quiet. Not for the illusion of family. You owe yourself protection, truth, and the freedom to choose who gets to be in your life. Choose well. Weeks passed. Leaves started changing. Peter brought over pumpkins for the kids to carve. His youngest made one shaped like a Minecraft zombie. Tucker laughed so hard he got hiccups. Nobody yelled. Nobody judged. Valerie's name didn't come up. Thanksgiving approached again. Peter asked what we were thinking. I said, same as last year. Keep it simple. We hosted again. Just us, our kids, normal food. Tucker insisted on making the cranberry sauce himself. I didn't touch it. He nailed it. Said it tasted better than the first time. I agreed. After dinner, the kids ran off. Tucker sat next to me on the couch with a second slice of cheesecake. He leaned his head on my arm. Then, out of nowhere, he whispered, "I'm glad we don't go there anymore." That was it. Not bitter, not sad. Just truth. We didn't toast. We didn't post. We didn't explain our absence to anyone. Because we didn't need to. Peace doesn't make a sound. It just stays.